everyone, I'm Lisa Lim, and this is just a little video supplement to go with my article that I just wrote for Guitar Girl magazine. It's called Girls Got Rhythm, Constant Flow. And it is all about rhythm and building a solid foundation as a rhythm player. And you'll find that that's going to definitely overflow into your soloing and lead playing as you grow as a guitar player. So, some of the things I touched on in the article was just general things. First off, the type of pick you use. A thin or medium gauge is about the thickest you want. You want a pick that has some flex to it. And your pick, when you're setting it up to strum, you want to have it a relaxed grip on your pick. And you want to have it coming in parallel with the strings on the guitar. So in other words, not, pointed way up towards the ceiling or pointed down towards the floor. Just coming straight in. And you're just using the tip of the pick. That's what's sweeping across the strings. It doesn't require digging in between the strings. Just strum, okay? So, just a light sweeping motion. And then there's a key, motion. A constant down-up motion. Getting that established and that becoming automatic in your strumming hand. And you'll also notice that my left foot is tapping. Now here's the deal. When my foot's tapping, each time my foot hits the floor, that's considered the beginning of the beat. When my foot comes up in the air, that's considered in between the beat, on the off beat. Okay, so my foot is guiding my strumming hand, not the other way around. And we're just going to get down with some of the basics today. I have a few examples that I've laid out for you. And starting with, everything's going to be in 4/4 time, the examples, the strumming patterns. And what that means is that you have 4 beats in each measure. And the bottom number in the time signature tells you what type of note receives 1 beat. And in this case, they're referencing a quarter note. And quarter notes are 1 beat. So what I'm going to start with is a basic E major chord. And the first example is just using all down strums, okay? Not playing on the up strum, but keeping that motion established regardless. This is what's imperative. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how my right hand is constant. It doesn't stop. And obviously, you want to do this at a reasonable speed or tempo, if you will. As you settle into it and you feel like you're getting more comfortable with it, then you can push yourself. Keep it steady and even though if you up the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right on the beat, that's the number in the count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's what we were just playing. Just on the beat, with down strums connecting to the strings and missing on the upward motion coming back up. You have to do that upward motion to be able to go back down. And it's a cycle that I've seen over the years with many players that they think that if they don't have to play on that stroke, they don't have to make that stroke. And that can destroy your timing. So that's what I'm trying to really drive home here. And so I know this seems so basic, it's so self-explanatory, but the reality is that we can take it for granted. And if you do this, and you can have yourself on autopilot, just doing it automatically, you'll find that no matter how intense or elaborate the rhythmic pattern is, what you're doing soloing-wise, that you're always ready for it. Your picking hand, your strumming hand is always ready for it because of that constant motion. So, this is what we're talking about, the basics, building a foundation. Now, the second example is using eighth notes, even eighth notes. A single eighth note is a half of a beat. It's like taking a quarter note and splitting it down the center. The first half is a single eighth note, and the second half is a single eighth note. So, 2 eighth notes together fills in your 1 beat, the quarter note in this case. So now what we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing a down strum on the beat, and connecting on an up strum on the off beat. Okay, once again I'll use this E major chord, and I'm going to strum down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and steady eighth notes in 4/4 time, and 4/4 measure. The third pattern, you're going to start to encounter what's called an eighth rest. This is going to happen on the beginning of the beat. Okay, so we're going to have silence for the first half of the beat, on the beat. On the off beat, when the foot's coming up, when you're strumming up, we're going to connect on that. We're going to play on that, on the upstroke. Now, it goes a bit further with this because silence is a key here when you use the term rest. So, my fretting hand is going to have to help assist with that, making sure there isn't anything ringing out. Okay? So the way you do that is just by relaxing how you're fretting the chord, and sometimes leaning your fingering over. Just very subtle. It doesn't take a lot. You don't want to lose the chord, you want to hang on to the chord, but just relax it. You're not pressing full, just resting on the strings, leaning a tad bit, and that will mute the strings. So you have silence on that first half of each beat. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, resting on the beginning of the beat, the first half, and playing on the last half of the beat. Now, that's with the basic chord. Obviously, if I used something like a full bar chord, like if I used an F major with the root on a 6th string in first position, it's an F major bar chord, I do the same pattern. Everything's fretted in the chord that I have formed. So it's just a matter of relaxing my fingering on the rest, and that's going to create the silence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, pick it up. Okay, so that's example number 3. Let's talk about 16th notes. So we're slicing and dicing these beats. So 2 eighth notes is equivalent to a quarter note. A 16th note, an individual one, is just a fourth of a beat. So it takes 4 of these to fill in 1 quarter note, 4 fourths. So the way we're going to count it, we're going to count it 1 E-ana, 2 E-ana, 3 E-ana, 4 E-ana, down, up, 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 down, up. Constant motion. Then we go back to that basic E major chord. 1 E-ana, 2 E-ana, 3 E-ana, 4 E-ana, 1 E-ana, 2 E-ana, 3 E-ana, 4 E-ana. Now, it was constant down, up to fill in each beat. My foot, if you notice, was still tapping quarter, and then on the off beat, what would be considered an eighth note. Okay? So, when you're dealing with 16th notes, the first down up is in the first half of that quarter note or that beat. And then the remaining down up is when my foot's coming up in the air on the second half of the beat. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm just wanting you to understand how you're fractioning out these beats. And it doesn't mean, because the 16th note is shorter in duration, it doesn't mean that you go faster in tempo. You actually want to be able to do each type of note, be it quarter notes, eighth notes, 16ths, while maintaining the same tempo. That's really crucial. So that's another really good exercise to practice. Now, one other thing I want to mention, and that is just play around by muting the strings. You can see I'm resting my fretting hand on the neck of the guitar across the strings, and that muffles the strings. And then my pick is just strumming down up strokes on the strings. This is really cool because you can come up with all kinds of cool rhythmic patterns and variations. The key here is constant motion in your right hand. Once again, I'm stressing constant down up. Now, it doesn't mean that your pick has to connect on every stroke striking the strings. You could miss on some of the strokes. That's your discretion. That's your choice. But for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect on each stroke. And what you're going to hear me do is hit a little harder on certain strokes, certain part of the count, to create a rhythmic pattern. that, I'm going to go back to this basic E chord. And what I did, I played and sounded out where I accented, where I was striking the strings harder. Originally when I had this. And then in between, I just relaxed my fingering and let my fingering roll over a bit. Now this time I'll do it without putting any muffling in, just putting the dynamics, the accents, if you will, more of an attack on those certain strokes. There you have it. So I totally encourage you to play around with this. Remember, it's all about constant motion in your right hand. It's endless of possibilities of what you can do rhythmically. I hope you find this information helpful. I'm Lisa Lim with Guitar Girl Magazine. Until next time, pick up your guitar and play.